Lisa, how do you feel about wine? Are you drinking wine? No. Okay, so sangria is also fantastic. It's got wine in it. Guys, this is Lisa from Free Walking Tours Funchal, the best Funchal walking tours in the world. All right, we're very happy to have Lisa back finally on a history vlog. Thank you, Lisa. Makes my job a whole lot easier, you know. I'm just sit back, have a coffee. We're gonna talk a little bit about the building behind us, right? And you were saying earlier that you had never seen it from this perspective. Yeah, this was pure luck, you know, but it was very nice because I didn't know the house, of course. Lisa's just told me about this house. Today we are talking about Dona Guiomar.
Dona Guiomar de Sá, Vilhena, yes.
Right, de Sá. Funny how she's got Sá in her name.
She has many names. She had like 8 to 9 names, but she was mostly known as Guiomar Madalena de Sá, Vilhena.
Right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to take you on a little tour of Funchal as well, so stick around. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. The story is incredible. If you watched the Phelps Bella Phelps story we did a while back, I would have loved to have Lisa on that vlog. Unfortunately, I had to do that by myself. But if you watch that, this is the kind of video we're doing. We're celebrating women in Madeira. It's a new series that we're getting involved in. Lisa, Andrea told you about it a while back, right?
If you did, I probably forgot.
Okay.
But that's a great idea.
They've been doing the work, you know. Lisa's got this book that we're going to go through, little insights and questions, and I'll get you to introduce the book a little bit later. And we're going to talk about Dona Guiomar. You're going to incorporate this into your tour, or like, do you have an idea?
I've been actually talking about this in my tour for the last 2 months, maybe.
Oh, so I'm late.
Yes,
Okay.
I've been trying to have at least a story of one woman, an inspirational woman in one of my tours, and Dona Guiomar, she's now part of my Essentials tour, so yes.
Fantastic. So people can find you on Instagram. We're going to put the links in the description, we promise. Yeah, otherwise, Free Walking Tours Funchal.
Free Walking Tours Funchal, yes, .pt, that's the website. In the 18th century, Portugal was still a very conservative country, and women really didn't have an important role in society. Even women from nobility, their worth was really just to get married or to enter a convent. It was actually said that women that didn't get married or didn't find a celestial husband, that they would pretty much fail in life.
I read about that. What is a celestial husband? That was like my one question I was going to ask you.
Well, it's basically marrying Jesus, right? They say that
Right.
the nuns are married to Jesus,
I
so
got it. Nice.
so yes, that was the goal, was to either be
a nun?
or
married.
to be married, basically to be a slave of the husbands, I guess. It was believed that women didn't need an instruction, they didn't need to be educated because, well, they were supposed to be at home. And in the 18th century, there were still people that said that women should only leave the house 3 times in their lives, which was then when they got baptized, when they got married, and when they got buried.
That's a very dangerous joke to tell. That's a very dangerous joke. And
the problem is that it was not a joke. It was what
it was real, yeah.
People what actually said. And even wealthy women, they really wouldn't leave the house much, because even for the religious practice, they would have their own tiny chapels, an area in the house that was just for that. It was actually authorized chapels by the Pope, and this is what they used to do, their daily prayers, and so they wouldn't really leave the house much.
This is when they had, sorry to interrupt, this is when they had the little, in the quintas they had the little capelas. So.
And not only, if you go to museums like Quinta das Cruzes, you find these things that we call oratórios. Right. So it was these, it was like this little cabinet that you would open the doors, and there was well, this little altar dedicated to a certain saint, and this is where most of the wealthy women used to do their prayers. And they would really only leave the house in big occasions, for big services and so. But yeah, despite all these obstacles and being a society run by men, for men as well, there were some people that stood out, or some women that stood out, and I guess Dona Guiomar was one of these women.
Right, yeah, which is crazy. She must have been some kind of a rebel, right?
I'm not sure, we don't know. Unfortunately, although she became such a powerful lady when she was 61, we actually don't know almost anything about her before. The only thing that this book tells us before she was 61 is that she was well inserted in the local society. She did, of course, come from a very powerful family, and her godparents were the Bishop of Funchal and the wife of the governor of Funchal. And this is all that we know about her before she inherited all the wealth.
They were noblemen, like noble people, right?
Yes, they were noble people. Her parents were already involved in the trade. Her brother as well. Her brother ended up dying soon, and that's why she took over. Well, she inherited all the family's wealth.
At 61 years old, and became the largest exporter of Madeira wine.
Yes. But she didn't only export.
Right?
We believe so. She ran that company called DG, Dona Guiomar. Dona Guiomar, I'm sorry.
DG.
Yes, DG. Great name. She ran her business for about 20 years. We know that she inherited the wine company, but she made it hers. And despite inheriting dozens of properties, a few outside of Funchal, she didn't conform with that. She still bought additional farms in the south of Madeira to produce great Malmsey wine. So she didn't just inherit it. She made sure that she made it something bigger and more important, I guess.
Yeah, and that's probably the best part of the story. And we're gonna see a little bit later something that she did that was quite historic, a building that is still in Funchal. That is a big building. And we're gonna let you guys know how she revolutionized her business and how, we're gonna get into all of this kind of stuff. And I don't know what Lisa's got. I'm just gonna be laying back asking questions. So yeah, stick around, guys. Should be fun. Lisa, the Jackarandas are beautiful. And I know that I've got a question for you. A little bit off topic, but the Funchal flag's got purple because of the Jacaranda, correct?
I know that I've heard something like that somewhere. Unfortunately, I haven't found it written anywhere. But I'm not sure if it's like you said it. I've heard that Jackarandas and Pride of Bolivia, which is the little ones with the yellow flowers, have been planted heavily in Funchal to represent the colors of our flag. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but it's interesting because our flag does have these two colors of these two trees.
That was the question. If what was the yellow one? Pride of Bolivia.
Pride of Bolivia.
Cool. So behind us is one of Dona Guiomar's properties, correct?
Yes, the property in Rua do Castanheiro, which, for what we understand, she lived here pretty much most of her life, at least until when she was 61. And we know that after she inherited all those properties, after she became the heir of her family, she moved from here to another interesting place in Funchal.
Amazing. So this would have been part of the family. It was, it's a big house, right?
Yes, I mean, it looks massive. It's the palace of Rua do Castanheiro.
There probably wasn't anything else much around.
That's a good question. Well, probably some smaller properties back then, and of course most of it was also taken over by the Jesuit college right next to her. But yes, probably some other smaller properties by other wealthy people. But yes, we know that big square house was indeed where she lived most of her life.
That's incredible. I would love to have a big square house like that.
Well, I wouldn't, because I would have to clean it all.
You'd have to clean it, yeah. How society's changed. Now you get a 2-bedroom penthouse with a pool, right?
Or a studio like I have.
Or a studio, yeah, that works. you say over here, we've just figured this out, that over here was actually one building, right?
There was a big building over here. And until the beginning of the 20th century, it was demolished sometime in the beginning of the 20th century because there was no connection from the cathedral directly to the sea until then.
Right. So the government must have bought it out and like...
Probably they did. We do know that Dona Guiomar, she did have one of her buildings in Funchal was over here in the Largo de Sé, so in the cathedral's square. And for some time in the 19th century it was used as the city hall and also as a prison. Then, as the conditions got so bad over there during the 19th century, they relocated the city hall to where it is nowadays. And I believe it was the building that was demolished here in the beginning of the 20th century.
It would have been prime real estate, eh?
Oh, yes.
Funchal. Funchal comes from Funchal, right? I preferred the Funchal shot. Just now, you know, Andrea got up there, got the whole thing. But Funchal, how true is this Funchal thing? Because to me it doesn't make sense. That Funchal came from the word Funchal. Yes? So there was Funchal here as part of the endemic?
Of the endemic...
Really? I mean, that's not part of Lauri Silva, is it?
It's not part of Lauri Silva, but many of the plants on the island not Lauraceas are not from that laurel forest. Well, they are considered part of the laurel forest because they are endemic, but they are not actually laurels. We have four laurels in Madeira.
This is for another video, Lisa. You want to hear about the forests? You come with us, all right? We'll tell you the forests. But I saw the Funchal and I was like, I have to know the truth about the Funchal. I have to know the truth because it didn't make sense.
But it did say that this whole bay was covered with the Funchal, with the fennel, when they got here in the 15th century.
I can see the boats. If I had a dolphin watching company, you know, then I'd just be sitting here and see my boats going out. Hey, like, oh, there goes the catamaran over there. We are right. I'm gonna sit here and be in my garden like Dona Guiomar. Look at the size of this. It's like €1 million garden. It's probably more than that, right? Probably much more than that. This property, just so you guys know, it is in fact my first time here. And Lisa sent me a little article that I was reading about, which is actually incredible. This place is incredible. And at the time in the 19th century, in the early 19th century, this was considered very expensive and I think most exclusive. I'll check the article again, but most exclusive, most expensive rent in Funchal. I mean, duh, right? But at the time, remember, the royal, aristocratic people, the aristocracy used to come here to cure tuberculosis, right? To chill. First of all, this was a great idea. This place is beautiful, the gardens, but before it was gardens and a beautiful manor house, quinta, it was farmland.
Yes, it was. This was a farmland that already belonged to the family of Mrs. Guiomar, and she was the one that actually ordered to build the house that nowadays exists here. Nowadays this house is our presidential house. It's Quinta Vigia. Vigia in Portuguese is also a place it's like a watch area.
Yeah.
And that's because, of course, this has a great view over the whole Bay of Funchal. During her time was known as Quinta das Angustias because there was a chapel here dedicated to Our Lady of Angustias. How do you say this in English?
Angustias is like
Anguish.
From what anguish?
Anguish.
Anguish. Yeah, anguish. Yeah,
That's
that's a great word. Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes,
It's from a reader, all right? I'm a doer, I'm not a reader. Anyway, so before this would have been farmland. This would have been something that would have been contributing to her wine empire. And obviously, at some point, she decided she was gonna, you know, build this maybe trophy, and at the same time construct this almost place of business.
Yes.
where she could look out at the ocean.
Yes, seeing her ships going away, taking her precious wine, and coming back with the wealth, I guess.
Yeah. In the last video we did with Bella Phelps, Andrea told me about the Togo Avista Navios, which was a common thing for a merchant to have to look out. This is obviously the best one, right? Because it's right in front of the harbor.
Yeah.
Dona Guiomar would have been the head honcho, right?
The head?
The head honcha.
I don't know what that means, but I'll say yes.
Yeah. Don't know what that means. Yeah, she was the, she was the boss, right? Because
yes, she was the
right
the
on
boss.
top of the harbor, seeing her boats coming in and out. And this is, could you tell me a little bit more? It's called the Almirante?
No, it's called Mirant.
It's called Mirant. Almirante is another thing.
Almirante is from the military, yes, or from the navy, I think.
Right.
But yes, Mirant is, I guess it's an older word for viewpoint, for miradouro.
Makes sense.
So yes, this is where she used to basically look out for Funchal and for the harbor as well.
And it's got her name.
It still has her name. I believe it's the only thing, the only construction in Funchal that actually has her name. I don't know of any street, of any other building that is named after her, which honestly it's a bit sad in my opinion, considering how powerful she was and of everything that she owned. This is the only thing that is named after her.
If you're gonna have only one thing, this is really
not the worst, yes.
not the not the
Yes.
worst place to have.
Yeah.
So before anybody here says that we're wrong, right? We just had a lovely chat here with one of the guys here, Roberto, who explained to us that in fact this is the Mirant, right? So this is the building that's one of the oldest buildings in Quinta Vigia, right? It was the chapel, like you were saying, and the Mirant over here. Someone's inside the Mirant.
Yes.
I wonder what she's looking at. Anyway, she's looking at two buffoons out here. Not two, but one buffoon, right? Okay. And an aspiring business woman, because I think you guys will probably, there might be a new tour, right? The Quinta Vigia tour with Lisa, maybe. Huh? There's, the history of this place is massive. We just had a chat with someone who said that they could organize guided tours. So I think Lisa might be doing something like that in the future. She will if I have anything to say about it. But yeah, let me know if you guys would like to do that, and maybe we can set it up. Anyway, just wanted to point that out before we get the keyboard warriors like, that's wrong.
Well, with the fence, I guess we will add by mistake because of the
book,
because of the photo here, because the photo is of this building. So
exactly, it's the book's fault. We're gonna ask ChatGPT. So, of course, being a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, I do love this place. It's all kitted out. One day I'd like to stay here, just putting it out there. But I love the burgers. They're very reasonably priced as well. So, yeah, one of my little secrets, the crisps are amazing. And today I'm trying the sloppy burger, which is actually the pork. It's got pork, it's got jalapenos. How do I say it? I never get this right. I want to say jalapenos. I've actually got seeds. Thank you, Melanie, for the seeds from America. We're going to be growing jalapenos soon because it's getting warm, right? So, yeah, bear with me. We're going to eat some lunch, all right, because it's like 4 o'clock or something. And then we're going to get into the final thoughts. Lady Guiomar, Lady G, can we call her Lady G? We're gonna get into it, right? Don't go away, I'm sorry, all right? I'm an idiot. There we go, food's great. Lisa, what were we missing? We wanted to talk about the people who were under Dona Guiomar's kind of authority, right? Like her workers. She had, was it 5 slaves?
she did have 5 slaves, 8 servants. But for her will, I think we can understand that she probably was not the worst person to have as a boss, because she made sure to leave something for all of her servants. She left some money, and she also left all the slaves that she had free with some money as well. So
with some money.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You mentioned that was it the priest who had a rent, that she left him a rent?
She left him a very good pension, so of course she didn't manage dozens of estates in Funchal. At some point she had 61 properties on the whole island, and the business, and of course she didn't manage all of this by herself. Initially she had, I believe she had a relative of hers, if I'm not mistaken, it was a cousin that was the administrator of the wine company, but unfortunately he had an argument, some kind of disagreement with the governor of Funchal, and he was exiled to the north of the island. So she found a new administrator. There was this priest from Calheta that for her it was like a son. She was very fond of this person, and he became the new administrator of the wine company. And he actually moved to the house that she had in Rua do Castanheiro. He ended up living in that house. She also left him a lot of money, I think. At least it sounds like a lot of money, but she left him 800,000 reis a year and some properties in her will.
Dona Guiomar was really some sort of a role model, right, we can say. I mean, the fact that when I read that it was 70% of her 70% of the Madeira wine exportation was hers.
Was hers, yes.
And
of course, considering that the English merchants, they were actually exempt of taxes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So she was almost competing with many people that had better, kind of, I don't want to say, what is the word I'm looking for, conditions than what she had. So that's absolutely incredible. So you don't know because you haven't seen the Bella Phelps film yet.
No.
Right? So you need to watch that one, and you too if you haven't. But what I did was, while I was doing some research, because I didn't have time to read a book, but also because I found it interesting, was I did ask some things about ChatGPT. So I put in, and it's actually in the same post as Bella Phelps, right? Because ChatGPT picks up these things that we're already doing some things. And basically what I asked ChatGPT, this is what I find very interesting, and I'm hoping that this is going to maybe motivate someone or spark an idea or something. So let's imagine, just as we did with Bella earlier, that there's this new theoretical person living in this modern day and age. How can that person think and achieve what Dona Guiomar did in this day and age in Madeira? Madeira is facing a housing crisis, a tourism overload, economic inequality between locals and foreign investors, and a fragile agricultural backbone, right? We were speaking about this earlier.
Yes, we were.
100%. So we don't always speak about these things because, it's things that can be negative. Now let's say a modern Dona Guiomar is born into a well-off or influential local family, or maybe she builds her way up. How does she make her mark? And ChatGPT has given us a couple of things here. So one, land, but with purpose. Just like historical Guiomar used her land to control production and influence exports, modern Guiomar would focus on sustainable land use. Buy or reclaim rural properties and transform them into regenerative farms, agri-tourism hubs, and affordable eco-housing communities. She would also create land trusts that ensure long-term ownership remains with locals, which is what I've been saying, is that anyone who's selling the land, they're the ones who are losing, because even though they are winning, huge numbers, you sell a piece of land for 500,000 euros, in 10 years it's going to be more than 500,000 euros, so you're losing, right? So land is obviously in Madeira the most important thing. She'd say, if we control the land, we control the story. She'd number two, reinvent Madeira's global exports. This is pretty wild, but it's a cool idea. Guiomar made Madeira wine famous. Modern Guiomar would do the same with Madeiran culture and products, but digitally. She'd launch an e-commerce brand, DG Goods. That's a private joke. High-end food products, honey, wine, poncha kits and teas. I wonder where she got that from. Fashion or artisan collabs with local creators. She would use blockchain or traceability tech to authenticate origin and quality, which is very interesting because that's what bordado does in the old way of doing it. And she would go viral by tying product sales to Madeiran preservation projects. Every sale plants a tree, funds a mural, helps build, this is a good one, helps a local build a business, which is very cool. Dona Guiomar built a literal miradouro to control trade. Modern Guiomar would use data dashboards to track economic flows, tourism patterns and real estate purchases. She'd create a platform or think tank that publishes Madeira-centric research and policy recommendations run by locals. And she would build a digital observatory that gives people visibility into what's going on in their island. If we can see it, we can act on it. Dona Guiomar funded religious orders and built power through piety. That's the church, piety.
Yes, she was also, she actually left in the will also some money for hospitals and charity and for churches and whatsoever.
So far looks good, right? If there's any errors, you tell me, because in the Phelps one, they told me that ChatGPT told me that Goede Kageda was once a Goede Phelps, which is a complete lie, apparently. So ChatGPT lies, right?
I've never heard that, but...
We're constantly checking, just in case we lose our jobs, you know, we want to see how smart is this ChatGPT. So yeah, she'd do basically what she did for the church. She would fund education, arts and social innovation. She would launch grant programs for young Madeiran entrepreneurs and artists, fund public artworks, festivals and cultural archives to preserve Madeiran stories. And she would set up a woman-led investment fund, which is crazy, eh? No one thinks about these things or does these things. Dona Guiomar didn't marry, didn't step aside and didn't apologize. She must have been a rebel, right? Modern Guiomar would, one, run for office or run the people who do. Straight from ChatGPT. She would speak directly to locals through modern channels such as YouTube, podcasts and local media. Like, not making this up. Collaborate with expats and tourists, but always on local terms. Respect us or don't do business here, which is amazing. This is the narration of the spirit of Guiomar lives on. They called her Dona Guiomar, landowner, merchant, visionary. In a world built for men, she didn't just survive, she ruled. She turned vineyards into empire, ships into strategy, her name into a brand, and she did it all without apology. But Guiomar's real power wasn't in her wealth, it was in her will, her ability to see beyond her time, to shape a future others couldn't imagine. And maybe that's what we need today. Not a copy of her story, but to carry her spirit, to be bold with what we have, to reclaim land, voice, culture, to lead with vision, but never forget where we stand. Because the next Dona Guiomar, she's not in the past, she's already here. In every woman who dares to build, protect, and lead the future of Madeira. The question is, will we follow her, Lisa?
Hope so.
And on that bombshell, that's it really. Do you have anything else you want to like add to that? Do you think, I think we like covered quite a lot.
I think we covered quite a lot, but I still think that she does not have enough recognition. I've been trying in my tours to tell more and more people about it, but we just had this experience down here in the restaurant when you talked about Guiomar, the person had no clue.
I didn't know.
Who she was, and for such a powerful lady, I do think that she does have very little recognition, and the tiny tower up there. I don't think
not
it's
even
enough.
a name.
I honestly think that she deserves a whole building, that she deserves a street, maybe a museum area named after her.
Here we go. There's the next Dona Guiomar speaking already. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. The hazelnut latte is fantastic. And on that bombshell, Andre?
Let's hit the road.
Yep, that's it. Let's hit the road. Andre number 2. We got. I hope you guys are liking the video. Just, you know, we got some new talent on board. So that's it. Thank you. See you next week. All right, we got to get back to work.